All right, it's that golden hour. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all enjoying Sugar Club Zone so far, and thank you for joining our session this afternoon. We are technology advisors, a sugar partner out of Chicago. So, what's our plan for today? Well, not to discount the traditional PowerPoint approach, but what we'd much rather do today is to step outside of that and show a practical application of Sugar Serve, where you can see how an organization can actually put it to use in the real world. So we will utilize slides a little bit, but we're really going to be jumping into Sugar Serve to demonstrate how our services team actually utilizes this tool. We really want to show you how we've designed it for our processes and how it helps support our customers. And hopefully that'll give you some ideas of your own and be a little bit more engaging than, your run-of-the-mill slide deck approach. So our Sugar CRM aficionado and director of services, Justin, will be piloting us on this journey today. And it will be co-piloted by myself, Janine Madura, the director of marketing. Everyone is muted by default, but if you have any questions for Justin as he's going through today, please just chat them over and I will get them to him so we can get them answered for you. It doesn't look like anyone has their video on, so we're all good on that, but if anybody's video was on by default, we just would ask that that was disengaged so we can avoid any distraction. All right, well, I think it's about time that I turn the floor over to Justin to get this thing going. So Justin, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Deneen. Today, our agenda will be how we use Sugar Serve to support our customers. And we're going to kind of take a look at the life of a case as it comes through our Sugar CRM instance. First, we'll look at how cases get into Sugar, what we do with the case when it first arrives, and then we need to respond to that case to let the customer know we've received it and that we're working on it. As we go back and forth, there's customer responses that come into our Sugar system and different ways those can arrive. And when the time comes, we want to close out a case in a proper way so it's useful for the future for reporting purposes or even looking back and seeing what happened, how we fixed different issues. And then we use Sugar Serve's built-in timer functionality to have SLAs and change timer tracking. And that's built partially with some Sugar BPMs we have developed. And then I wanted to show how we're using the service console for our weekly case review meetings. So to start with, how do cases get into Sugar? And we have four main ways of getting cases into Sugar. We have the manual case creation, of course. We can also send emails to support@techadv.com, and then those are either created as a case or the email is attached to an existing case. And for this process, it's a little bit interesting. When the email first arrives at support@techadv.com, we have a number of exchange email rules that run on that to delete junk and other emails we don't want to process. The remaining emails are then forwarded to cases to sugar@techadv.com automatically, of course. And then a Sugar CRM inbound email scheduler will monitor that inbox and either create a case or attach that email to an existing case. Authorized customers can log into the Sugar support portal that comes with Sugar Serve, and they can open cases, review their existing cases, and even view our public knowledge base. And we've also recently set up Sugar Live to start integrating a phone system to get cases as well as notes and call history into Sugar CRM. So I'd like to show that very quickly. I'd like to start in my Google inbox of my friend Lee Hogan, who is going to be emailing support@techadv.com with a question, how do I embed images in the knowledge base? I'll just go ahead and send that right now. And then I can come over to Sugar. And while we're waiting for that scheduler to process on the back end, I wanted to show kind of our case creation screen. We have the usual items, the account name, who it's assigned to, who the primary contact is, what's the regarding, what's the follow-up date, and some other good fields we'll get into as we're editing the record. But before we do that, I wanted to show in the administrator section, our inbound email. So this is where you can set up inbound emails to monitor inboxes. In this case, we have a group email box support that will create a case, and that is active. So if I click on this, you can see we have our Exchange credentials here, as well as what the monitored folder is. We have it assigning to teams, support new, and some other filters such as how do we want to assign them, round robin, are we creating cases, do we want to import emails automatically, all of that really good stuff. In addition, I mentioned we have our Sugar portal set up. So if I come to the portal as Mr. Lee Hogan, I can see all of his open cases here, any recently resolved cases. We also have the ability to create new cases, or the portal has built-in case deflection. So if I just search for image here about logging images or embedding images in the knowledge base, I can quickly get to a knowledge base article right from this screen. So, prompting our customers with some helpful information in the hopes that maybe they will not need to open a case. And of course, if none of these match, they could go ahead and create a case.
Justin, we have a question. Do you need to create a dedicated email for incoming email, or can you use an existing email?
I would definitely want to create a dedicated email address. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of spam and things you don't want. Like if I was using Justin Keelthough at techkdv.com, all of my correspondence would then be monitored by the Sugar inbound scheduler. In addition, the inbound scheduler can only pick up unread emails in that inbox. So you really do need a dedicated email address for that to work.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep. I'm going to come back over here and see if our new case has been created. Doesn't look like it yet, so we'll just move on because we're going to have to update it in just a minute anyways. So the first update of a case has some very important fields we want to fill out. And I go into detail with this whenever we hire a new employee because I think these are important. It's important to understand why we do some of these things. Obviously, the assigned to is important, so everyone knows who is responsible for the case. The product field is really important for us because it drives an automated email to the primary contact that is different. That email is different depending on the product selected. We send sugar support instructions to people who open a sugar case. We send starfish support instructions to someone who opens a starfish case. This notification has the added benefit of letting people know that we have received their case. Obviously, that primary contact needs to be set so the system can send automated notifications to the person. And so the person or people working the case know who to communicate with. The name is generally the subject of an email. We get most of our cases via email. And oftentimes it's not very unique or descriptive as to what the issue is. It's very important for us to update that name internally. So it's very easy for someone looking at the list view of cases to, at a glance, without opening the case, know what the case is about and what needs to be done to fix it. That makes it really easy during our weekly case review meetings for me to go down the list of cases and know what's going on just by reviewing the name. We also have the description. And especially when a case is created by email, it can get extremely long with a lot of white space. And if someone forwards an email that's 3 pages long, that's all going into the description field. We want to make sure we clean that up so that it's easy to read if we're hovering over the field in a list view and a pop-up shows up, or we're using a preview pane to preview that case. We also want to make sure we're updating the next steps field. And there's a few ways you could do this type of thing within Sugar. They have the comment log field. We prefer to use just a basic text field because it's extremely simple to report on and view in a list view, as well as the service console to get a quick view of who added the last note, when it was added, and what the next step is or what we're waiting on. So let's go see if our new case is in Sugar already, and we'll see if we can modify it. So coming back over to Sugar, let me refresh this list. Here it is. How do I embed images in the knowledge base? And you'll notice it was automatically attached to Hogan Industries and Lee Hogan based on Lee Hogan's email address. So when this comes in, I would want to open it up. Oftentimes what I like to do is I'll put in Hogan Industries up here just so I can see from the list view exactly who it's for. And how do I embed images in the knowledge base? That's pretty straightforward. The assigned to, this is important, just to know who is working the case. Again, that primary contact is very important because we're going to have some automated emails that go out. Let's go ahead and just type in Sugar here to give our product Sugar CRM. What's the next step? And let's see, I could put my initials in here and just say send KB article. And that looks good. If I wanted to clean up this description, I can get rid of all the excess data and make it a little easier to do. And then I can save that. Upon our first save, we have some timers that get updated. When was the first response set? Target time, what was the actual time? Has the first response been set? Who responded? What was the variance from the target? Was the SLA met, yes or no? Business hours to first response, hours to first response. Obviously this is the same, but if the case came in at 5 p.m. and no one answered it till overnight, your business hours could be very short and your hours could be very long. We also see some change timers down here. We can see what the status was, who changed it, and when. So you can get some pretty cool reporting based on hours to first response or hours to status changes, how long do cases exist in each status. So there's some really good information there. The next thing I would want to do after updating this case would be to respond to the case. And obviously most people use Outlook to respond to emails. But I prefer to use Sugar. It's possible to email out of Sugar. Outlook is generally quick and easy. I think there are two downsides to this option. The tracking code, if you want to get the automated import of that email to the case, needs to be manually added to the subject. And the assigned to person may not have that original email because it went to support@techadv.com. So I can access that email directly in Sugar and respond right from there, and it takes care of all of that for me. With both options, I do need to make sure that we are copying the support@techadv.com email address onto the email, even if support@techadv.com is sending the email, so that Sugar can read and then ingest that email to the case. So I do want to take a look at my inbox over here in the hopes that I should have a couple of new emails. Here's an email from Lee Hogan. I am on that support@techadv.com distribution list, so I got that. I got a notification here that a new case was created. This was sent by the Sugar instance to our full support team. And I can see the account name, a link to the case, what's the case number, the name and the description, and all of that good information. If I jump back to Mr. Lee Hogan here, I also have a new email that I mentioned where it's saying, hello, we have received your case. Our Sugar instance automatically attaches emails with the case number in the subject, which you can see up here. To case emails, emails with no case number will create a new case. For this reason, please do not report new issues in the email chain. Please send a new email. And then we even have a link to our website where we have some support information. Go down here.
Justin, we have a question about the primary contact.
Sure.
Is the primary contact a related field, or is it linked to the contact where you see the cases associated to the contact?
The primary contact field is an out-of-the-box relationship field that Sugar recently added. It is different than the child contact subpanel, but there is code on the back end that will make sure that the primary contact setup here exists down in the contacts area. You can see that I have Lee Hogan in both locations. I'm not sure if that answered the question. Please feel free to ask another as necessary. But like I said, we also have sugar support information on our website. Have you tried the following? What's included in my support plan? Opening a case with technology advisors. When opening a case, please provide the following information. We try to provide a walkthrough of what helps us support our customers best. And then we provide resources down here at the bottom, as well as information about how to subscribe to Sugar for update notifications. So we try to provide a lot of good information here. But I need to respond to my case email. So I'm going to go ahead, come in here, click on my email, go ahead and click the reply all button. So now I'm sending an email to Lee Hogan as well as support@techadv.com. Hi Lee, please see our article in the portal about, obviously I would probably actually just export the knowledge base article, but in this demo I'm just going to say look at it in the portal. And I have this set up to send emails as myself. I don't want to send emails as support@techadv.com. So that's why it's important to copy support@techadv.com on that email address. And you can set up different outbound emails within your email settings here. Lee Hogan's now going to get that in his inbox, hopefully pretty soon. But we can come back and look at that in a minute. So the next thing would be customer responses. Again, I mentioned that emails are added to the case automatically if that case number and the square brackets are in the subject. If an email response comes on a closed case, we have a BPM that sends an email to the assigned to user and reopens the case. That way we're not losing new emails on a closed case. And if a note is created in the portal, the case is assigned to user is notified of that. And then we also have Sugar Live, which I think I forgot to demo earlier, phone calls. So we'll show that now. Let's come into Mr. Lee Hogan here. We have a new email. How do I embed images in the knowledge base? Lee Hogan might reply all and say, thanks, Justin, and go ahead and send that off. That's going to Justin and support@techadv.com, which is going to get ingested into Sugar at that point. Lee Hogan could also choose to come into his portal, view his open cases, and say, well, gosh, now I'm having an issue. Let's come in here, look at our Hogan Industries case. I can attach a note and say, issue with my program. And I could browse and add as many attachments as I want to that. Or for now, I could just do a PDF if I had put together a PDF of all of the screenshots and text. And go ahead and save that. And now that's going to get into our Sugar. And we have notifications if a note comes in, because I'm not going to be looking at new notes all the time. I want Sugar to notify me when a new note comes in via the portal. We also have functionality in our portal via Sugar Live, via Amazon Connect for chatting. So if I click here, any of our customers can chat with the rep, and I could say, hello. Still having issues with the KB. I am now getting a phone call. I can see a chat coming in for Lee Hogan. And this doesn't have to exist solely in the customer portal. We can put it on techadv.com. We just haven't gotten that far yet. Looks like Lee Hogan's still having issues with the knowledge base. Try this. He's going to get that chat. And then I have a number of options down here. I could create a task from this chat. I can connect, or I can end the chat. Let's go ahead and for now, let's assume we've ended it. And then I can either close that contact or create a task again. So this would get logged as a message against Mr. Lee Hogan. I'll go ahead and show right now. If you dial our support number, it will also ring here. We can use our phone system right from within Sugar. Not sure why I'm getting database failure on the back end there. Try calling myself again. I'll try that one more time. I'm not sure why it's not going through right now. It's still something we're working on implementing. Here we go. Now I see that we have an incoming call. I can accept that. It's going to pop up a new screen for me. The contact, my contact timeline, any cases I have open, knowledge base that might be useful. And then I can search for Justin, or let's say Lee Hogan here, and log this to his case. I could do a search and select, or just say search via text, Hogan Industries, talked about how to embed images. I could go ahead and save that. I can hold, mute, do all a bunch of good stuff here, create a task, or end the call, close contact, and then that's going to go away. So that's how cases, I could have created a case from that screen as well, or just log a call to an existing case. Once we've worked a case, we want to close out that case, and it's pretty important how we do that. We want to set the status and the ticket state. We also want to create bugs. So the reason we track defects or bugs in our Sugar instance is that we want to be able to link any bugs back to the cases that are experiencing that bug. That way, in the future, if a defect or bug is resolved, we can easily see all of the cases that were associated with that bug and reach out to those customers as necessary to show them that the defect, or tell them that the defect is now fixed. So if I were to come back over here to my email, I can quickly get back to my case here. I could start the process of closing it out, or I could come down and say maybe there was a bug. I can add a bug here. Issue. Save that, and now I have this bug available that I can track, and when it's fixed, I'll know all of the cases that were associated with it. So I could come up here, change my status to closed, check on my completed ticket state, whether it's completed or feature request or a defect. This helps us report on the status of all of our cases. Go ahead and mark that completed and save that, and that's how we close that out. And then that would bring us to SLAs and change timers. Sugar Serve is time aware. I showed you the timers. We have hours to resolution, business hours to resolution. We can see all of our change timers with regards to the assigned to or the status and how it went through the process. And there's just a lot of really cool things you can do with Sugar BPMs now that we'll look at when we get to that section. But for now, let's go ahead and come back in here. We can take a look at our timers. Hours to resolution was 0.27 hours. Business hours was the same. Go ahead and refresh that bottom section. We have our change timers. I can see the assigned to changed and when. I can sort by the when these things were happening and get some good information about how long our cases, again, are staying open or in different stages. And this, of course, you can do a lot of this stuff with any module in the system, not just cases, but bugs, opportunities, leads, tasks. You can do a lot of tracking with the Sugar BPM tool, as you'll see when we get to our BPM. Okay, Sugar BPMs. We have 3 I wanted to mention today: new email on closed case, notify assigned user on new external note notification, as well as our update case aging and send internal reminder notifications version 5. So let's see if we can walk through those. I'm going to walk right to our process definitions. And again, we are using, this is our production Sugar instance. First, I wanted to find my new emails on a closed case, as well as some note BPM. And then our case one. So let's come up here, close that, and we'll design this one. This is a relatively straightforward. Anytime a new email on a closed case comes in, we wait a minute. We check to see if the email is related to a closed case. If it is, we reopen the case, we email the assigned to user, and then we're done. We could do some other things if the case was open. Maybe we still want to notify the assigned to user or set the status back to internal input instead of external input. There's just a lot of cool things. We're always tinkering with these, trying to make them a little better. We have notify assigned user on new external note notification. Let's take a quick look at that. It's pretty similar. Whenever a new note is created, if the note source is our portal, we want to notify that case owner, and then we're done. Again, you could have different branches depending on different sources if we wanted to go that route. But the big one we do is this update case aging and send internal reminder notification. We've been tracking different versions, and it's gotten pretty big. So let's take a look at what this one does. Every time a new case is created, we come to a parallel gateway, meaning all 4 of these different branches are followed. The top one takes it up here, waits a minute, and then sends that new case alert to the entire support team. We then have a metric, which we'll see when we get to the dashboard, of aging. Is a case less than 3 days old, 3 to 5 days old, or more than 5 days old? Once we get to more than 5 days old, we simply come down and end that branch. We then branch off into a new branch up here where we check to see if that product field is set. If it is set, we come down here and just start reminding the assigned to user every time the follow-up date gets reached. Our BPM here automatically updates our follow-up date to add 8 business hours. And Sugar, again, is time aware. It knows what our business hours are because we're able to set different business centers with different business hours, and it will do all of that math for us. So we get some really cool data that way. If the product isn't set, then I really start sending a lot of notifications to the entire support team saying, why is this case not updated yet? If the follow-up date gets reached, I actually add a note to the case. That way, I can start seeing a summation report of the number of notes in our Sugar CRM instance with this specific subject, and the more notes that exist, the worse it is, because we're supposed to update our cases within 2 hours of reception. So I can see how we're doing by looping through that until that product field gets set. Then we update our follow-up date to add 8 business hours, and we finally say the first response was sent. And back here, we're actually saying our SLA was not met. So in this way, we're tracking some SLAs, getting our first response out, as well as setting the product. We have a very small branch here where the case becomes closed. We update aging to blank, and then we just end the entire process. This will end everything. But down here, we monitor to see If a new case came from an email, we want to set the priority because it doesn't automatically do that. If it came from the portal, we want to set it to unassigned because it doesn't automatically do that. Otherwise, we just end. And then down here, depending on the different product type received, we send a different email with different support instructions and then end that branch. And like I said, there's a whole lot of tinkering we can do to this. I want to get a little more advanced with how we're tracking the follow-up date and adds. I also want to condense this. I think we have too many case updates all right at the beginning. I only want to update the case once just for performance purposes. So you kind of got to be careful with BPMs, but they are extremely powerful. And last but not least, we have a weekly case review meetings with our service council. We have some nice reports on the home screen. And then we use the actual list view to run through our cases and see what we need to do. So let's take a quick look at that. I can jump over here, jump to my home screen. Here's our overview. I can see a list of triage cases. These are those ones that don't have a product set yet. Again, our SLA is that we need to get a response out and update that within 2 hours. I have that case aging report. I can see who has cases associated with them and how old they are. Open cases by user. So some interesting metrics there. Then I have my open cases by follow-up date, my open cases by status, my recently viewed cases, my cases resolved this month by week, and my cases in the last week by status. So some cool stuff. I've mentioned a few types of time reports I'd like to add to this screen, or maybe a more management dashboard type of thing. But we're pretty open here. Everyone can see everything. So I'll probably just add some more charts here to see how long we're taking in different stages and get some more cool information out of sugar. We also have this list view I have filtered down to just the Hogan industry cases. You can see I have a ton of filters here for all of our different customers or users. And here I can see and sort by follow-up date, what's due when. I get a nice overview of what's due soon, what's due later, what's overdue. This is a global overview right here. And again, as I mentioned, you can configure this however you want it to work. So you could sort by ticket number, which is what I actually have it sorted by right now, or by follow-up date. We see that next step here. Again, a very easy way to see information about it. I can see this one's an issue with the cache. It's follow-up in 3 hours. I'm going to click on this and take a look. And I know I'd like to update this and just say clear browser cache. So now I know what they need to do, and I can see the case timeline. I can add comment logs, see the account, and all of that good information. And then I could jump to the next one. So this is a really cool view where we can get a lot of information about our cases. That's actually a good view of a timeline right there. And Deneen, I think we're coming up on time, aren't we?
Yeah, you're close.
Any more questions?
Not so far, but of course, if anybody has any questions that come up, now's the time. Let us know. I know that Sugar is recording this and is going to get this out to everybody as well. So we can always watch it later too and get some feedback at that time.
Oh, I would like to say one thank you to our customer Team Software. They recently implemented over the last 1.5 years, and they've done a whole lot with their support desk, and I've actually taken some ideas from them. They have even more complex BPMs than we have, so they've got some really cool stuff going on over there.
Love to see it. Well, Justin, this was awesome. Thanks so much to everybody for joining us. Hopefully that gave you a great insight into how we use this tool and some ideas for how you could use it. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day at Sugar Club Zone.